Hello. Today we will be talking about a very old essay. What is it? Like 34 years old. Very old essay by a man named James B. Jordan called The Future of Israel Reexamined. It's all about Israel. Is this going to be a controversial subject?
Hopefully.
So if you want to know all about Israel, all about the purpose of Israel, of the Jews and the Gentiles, and so on and so forth, stay tuned.
The American Revolution, in other words, is never finished. It must always be renewed.
Greater love than this hath no man, than that he lay down his life for his friend.
What if it's not envy?
We must take back our cities, and take back our culture, and take back our country. God bless you, and God bless America.
Okay, Mr. Engel.
Oh, happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday, man. It's almost the weekend.
Made it.
Here we are.
End of the year.
Oh, wait, man. These guys are
This is our last
I'm getting
podcast
burned. You see this of the
for the
year?
year, yeah.
What? Really?
I didn't tell you this.
Dressed like a slob. Yeah, I need to straighten up, clean up, and fly right. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, anything happening in the news this week? You've been paying attention. You've been monitoring the situation. What's going
I
on?
have not. What's going on? I don't know. Nothing's going on.
Mike Huckabee met with a Israeli spy convicted of treason against the United States. So that was awesome. And you know how
I
Jonathan
thought they were all Israeli spies. I was like,
do you know how Jonathan Pollard got let out?
no.
Miriam Adelson begged President Trump, and it's pretty easy for her to beg for him to do things when she gives him $100 million.
Fell for it again, man.
And
You still plan trusting?
of course I am. And it's like that's the cost of doing business, man. But no, like the dude should have been executed. And it's sick that he wasn't.
Speaking of executed,
Like he could have been.
Trump wants all of Congress to be executed.
Apparently, but then I guess just kidding. In Minecraft. He wasn't it wasn't serious. He was just an older dude.
Well, he just retweeted somebody.
Posting. Yeah.
That stuff's so dumb. Like, it's a figure of speech too.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna kill that guy. You're literally gonna murder someone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the worst part of it though is like, and I pointed this out because I mean it's all precipitated by like these handful of odious deep state, like CIA, agents that are now in Congress saying, doing a video saying, okay, if you're in the military, you're in the FBI, you're in the Department of Justice, you need to disobey the president. Basically like calling for a coup.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like, okay. And a lot of people are upset. Like, why aren't they doing anything about it? And it's like, what's he supposed to do?
He's not in charge, is he?
No. Like, I mean, what are you? Okay. You arrest them, right? Let's just game this out. They're like, well, he's the president. You should arrest them. Okay. You arrest them. Then what happens? They get arraigned. Eric Swalwell, or who was it? Like, was it Eric Swalwell? Like Alyssa Slotkin, the bigger gal that gave the response to his speech. She's really boring. She's on there, and then the communist astronaut in Arizona, like they're on there saying like, yeah, like do a coup, please, deep state, and it's like you arraign all of those people, you bring them before a judge, and say they just committed sedition, right? Categorically, obviously, and what's going to happen?
Yeah, like they'll get arrested.
No, they won't. The charges will immediately be thrown out by a judge.
Well, they'll get arrested.
Yeah, they'll be arrested. They'll be arrested and arraigned, but they go the first time they go before a judge, thrown out. Okay, cool. Now what do you do?
Yeah,
right. Do you just like say, I don't care, judge, and proceed with throwing them in a gulag, or and then you do that and like everything, like they get the color revolution they want from that then.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So like they just did the No Kings thing a month ago or 2 months ago. And it's like everyone laughs at it because it's people like of average age of 78, standing in front of their nursing homes, holding up signs about Trump being a fascist. But like 4 million people showed up for that. Like that is like serious organizing power that like we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if they do that, then you assemble mobs of people that will, chimp out and kill and destroy and burn things down and like overthrow the government. Like that's what they would want. Right. And like, we're not in a position to stop that. Right. They know it and we know it.
Yeah.
So that's why they can make videos like this. Right. So all Trump can do is like post impotent things on Truth Social or Pete Hegseth posting like, ooh, Trump derangements. Like they can't do anything about it. Right. And so it'd be better if they just like ignored it.
I totally agree with that. Like these are like a lot of the guys. Like, did you see Daryl Dow respond to us, by the way?
No,
we need an ongoing dialogue.
We should just have Daryl come on. That would be fun.
We should have him come on.
But
he's one of those guys who, by the way, he gets under my skin, and I'll tell you why.
Why does Eric? How could he's such a pleasant guy?
No, here's how he gets under my skin. Because he's accusing me of being white pilled.
Okay.
And
I can see how that gets under your skin.
He's always like, I told them that, Trump wasn't going to do anything. And it's like,
yeah, we know.
I've been saying that the whole time.
Yeah.
He's like, Daryl's taking victory laps again.
Yeah. It's
like, stop it. I'm the black pill one.
Yeah, that's right. It's like there's like levels to this, man.
But the point is that like our claim, you and I are in a dialectic. You're the white pill one. I'm the black pill one.
Don't tell James Lindsay that.
I love that word.
Yeah.
But Daryl
accused
of he doesn't actually accuse us of this. I read into it. But neither of us, maybe you do, but neither of us expect anything to happen. But it's not because Trump won't do it. It's because he can't do it.
Yeah.
The deep state has total control still.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, taking my sweatshirt.
Oh, she got switched back. I didn't do it.
She switched us back.
Mrs. Gary.
Yeah, Miss Gary. All right. So,
anyways, what should we talk about? We should talk about this.
We should talk about this. The chat wants me to talk about the book.
Oh, you can show the book if you want.
Well, I don't have a copy of it yet. They're going to send it to me in a couple weeks. But yeah, like it's updated. Like the main content in the middle. If you've already read it, like the main content of the book is not like nothing's changed except all of the minor like grammatical things that drove everybody nuts. Those got fixed. But I added about 5,000 words in the afterword, and Eric has a forward in it, and so it's nice. It's going to be a nice hardcover.
Nice hardcover.
Dare I say an heirloom? I don't know. It's maybe presumptuous to say. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the OG, right? So anyway, yeah, it's get it for people for Christmas, right? Especially like if they haven't read it, get that copy. And so yeah, that's what's going. When's your book coming out? Never. Okay. No. All right. What else we got? I have the computer in front of me now, so I can actually like play around with the chat. Let's see. Yeah. This one's a good one. I can't prove it, but I just know CJ is a bad driver. Do you have any comment on that one?
I'm a distracted driver.
Yeah, like he is, and
I have two modes.
I don't let him drive me anymore. Partly because
I'm also a very slow driver.
That's another reason why.
Very slow driver.
You go slow and you don't pay attention.
You will get there on time, but we have to leave 2 hours earlier than most people would.
And it's like I go fast, and that leaves me enough time for like stops.
Yeah,
we could stop and check out
I'm always
the rest areas on the side.
But I'm also in the slow lane
and the convenience
because
stores
of my car because I have a death wobble.
Yeah,
My
like
car.
you want to explain that?
People know it. You know what a death quadruple is? Do
Yeah.
people know that?
I don't think they know.
Like if you go over 65 and you hit like a tiny problem in the pavement on the freeway,
Mhm.
your whole Jeep just shakes.
Hmm.
So you have to slow down to 40.
Interesting.
So might as well just drive at 40.
Yeah, my 2013 Nissan Sentra does not
That
doesn't have that problem. So anyway, yeah. Oh, that's why he will never buy a Tesla, because it's a better driver than him.
probably true. I've never gotten in an accident, so how's that?
Yeah, well, me
It's
neither.
like in Family Guy when everyone is piled up behind you, you just drive through.
You just drive right through. Yeah,
Never got an
I've never
accident.
seen Family Guy, but
Well, there's clips.
oh, there's clips. Okay,
Yeah.
you're an
Don't
avid
try to
Family Guy watcher.
Don't try to out Luddite me.
CJ, this just in, CJ watches Family Guy apparently. Okay, well, on that, let's shift gears here to
To the future of Israel.
to the future of Israel, re-examined
Speaking of Family Guy,
by James B. Jordan, 27 July 1991. Do you remember where you were in July 1991?
yeah, I was probably taking summer photos in my 9-month-old swimsuit,
Yeah, I was 5.
like a swim diaper.
And so I was monitoring the situation in the Soviet Union at the time.
I was on the beach in California.
You know, I was glued to the TV, seeing what Mikhail Gorbachev was going to do, and getting ready for kindergarten. Right,
Nice.
at the same time.
I was
Yeah.
9 months old.
No, I was probably playing with trains, like
Were you?
Thomas the Tank Engine,
Okay,
big Thomas the Tank Engine guy. I had a conductor hat.
I bet you did.
I totally did, and
Bet you did.
overalls.
Yes,
Yeah,
you did.
yeah,
You should wear overalls next week.
and a conductor hat. That would be that should
should.
just be my
I still have a
aesthetic.
present for you, but I forgot it.
I hope it's a conductor hat or a train whistle.
It's not.
Okay. All right. Why don't I start reading? According to almost all biblical expositors, Romans 11. This is a Romans 11
Wait,
episode.
first of all, like, why are we talking about this? What's you just randomly
It's
walked
just
in?
obscure like theology. That's what we do here, man.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Look at by the way, look at CJ's paper. It's all he literally dug it out of the
literally
trash.
dug it out of the trash. Yes, I did.
Yeah, I freshly printed mine. So no, we're talking about this because it's actually like a current events. This is a current events
Yeah.
show, and this is a question
Who's
of current
James
events.
Jordan? Why don't you? But this is
You
important.
keep asking me questions and then let me answer the
Well,
question
because
you just
it's more
asked.
important. It's more
Yeah.
important that you fill this in because he's
Okay.
very important to your own development.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
People think you're Mr. Presbyterian, and I hate that. So
yeah. So Jordan is not like Mr. Presbyterian at all, and often vilified in Presbyterian circles. But no, I mean he is. I mean, he's still alive, but like 7 or 8 years ago, suffered a pretty severe stroke, and that kind of ended most of his theological and academic work. But no, he brilliant theologian and biblical exegete. I mean, really advanced a tremendous amount of understanding of scripture, and from like a reformed like framework, right? Maintained reformed theology and orthodoxy all the way through. But that's where he came from.
what I would,
But I mean, what he did was, I mean, he developed a methodology of reading the Bible really in like its own terms. And so looking at the symbolism that the Bible uses in within its own context, right? So sometimes it's kind of a derisive term, but derided as biblical maximalism, where it's like, okay, you see something appear in scripture, right, all the time, again and again and again and again, right? So like trees, for instance, and like trees are often a symbol in the Bible, right? And how do we figure out what that symbol, like it's used in purposely, intentionally in a symbolic way? Like Jesus tells parables and there's trees in them, or like he heals a blind man and initially the blind man just sees trees walking around. And it's like, well, that's clearly like symbolic language. Or when Jesus says like, I am the vine, right? Or even in Paul, in this chapter that we're going to talk about in the Bible, in Romans 11, right, uses the symbol of an olive tree, right? And so, like, you have to have a very highly developed theology of trees, like a biblical theology of trees. And so, what do? You go throughout the entire Bible. Every time trees, and a lot of times trees are mentioned, and like, what's the context there? What's it referring to? Like Psalm 1. Right, the righteous man is like a tree planted by streams of water. Right, so you develop that over and over throughout the entire Bible. Right, okay, you see trees pop up. When the Bible uses that symbol, what else does it mean other places in the Bible? And it's like consistent too, right? It's like always the same thing, right? It always it's not fanciful. It's not like you go through like a real wide-eyed like Dispy reading of Revelation, and it's like, oh well, clearly the locust demon things in Revelation, those are Apache attack helicopters, right? Like, so they see a symbol there and they impute some kind of meaning to it, but they're doing eisegesis, right? They're taking a symbol from outside of the Bible and applying meaning to it, rather than no, let's stay constrained within the Bible and try to figure out what that symbol is, right? Like that's basically that's his biblical symbolic methodology, kind of in a nutshell. And so there's a lot of things you could glean from Scripture, following that method. And some people like roll their eyes and think it's crazy, like they really don't like talking typology and things like that, because like, well, there's no brakes on this train, or there's no guardrails. But actually there are. Like, if you say, all right, how does the Bible use this symbol, right? You're not able to say, well, let's like Michael Heiser, for example. What did the ancient Ugaritic say about this? It's like, no, we're not doing that. We're staying in the Bible and using the Bible's own symbolic language to unpack meaning. So anyway, he very important in helping me to understand the Bible way better. Like, yeah, like anytime people are like, whoa, Andrew, you got some, I never saw that in the Bible before. Like, yeah, I stole that from Jim Jordan. Yeah. Or from Peter. So it's not like I figured it out. Like, no. That's not me.
I would just say too, like, you said that he built it all within the Reformed framework. I would just say too that, like, I think what he did is he synthesized like classical Augustinian Christianity with Reformed world, instead of because what a lot of people think of Reformed is very like post-Puritan.
Yeah, that's right.
And I would say that he actually recovered a pre-Puritan ethos. And so, it's Reformed, but at the same time, it's very Catholic. And that's something that's, I wasn't even aware of, like, in my own, knowledge of Jordan and Lightheart and all these stuff. I was just thinking in a totally different way, but like they really, like, I'm reading like his Sociology of the Church right now. Yeah. And it's very classical, pro-Catholic in the small C sense. Yeah, not capital. And he takes that's the Reformed that he takes, not this like 20th century evangelical fundamentalism at all.
No, and yeah, I think part of it too is they it helped me to see that like modern Reformed theology is very like narrowly influenced by the Puritans.
Exactly. And it's very rationalistic and
yes. And Reformed theology as a whole is much broader than just the Puritans.
But that's why I wanted
1647
to
Westminster
that's
Confession.
why I wanted to clarify that, because even Reformed theology is actually more Catholic than Rome, right? That's kind of that's how they saw themselves.
That's the hallmark of the Reformation.
That's what you're describing.
Yeah. And so he helped to lead, an effort to, to recover that. Because you read,
I would say that it's a recovery project.
Yeah, like you read older Reformed stuff, and it is not, especially in Mercersburg, for example. Like, there's this great battle.
We're gonna go down this route.
Oh yeah, but between like Mercersburg and Princeton.
Yeah,
and Mercersburg kind of carried the torch of like continental Reformed theology, whereas Princeton carried the torch of, you know, more Puritan, more pietistic, more rationalist theology, more centered along an individual and their experience, individual and their soteriology, and focus soteriology on the individual. Like, it was funny. I was thinking about this. You know, we'll go down this road since we talked about what's his name, Carl Truman. Right, he wrote that book, you know, about expressive individualism. What was it? What was it called?
I forget.
Something the self, modern self, right? Rise of the modern self,
Triumph
of the modern self.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting to me because, like, that, like, he like, I think he, like, rightly diagnoses a lot of problems in that book, but doesn't say anything about the fact that, like, modern Reformed theology, like Princeton theology, is extremely individualistic and rationalistic, and dominated by the self, dominated by your own individual, justification, sanctification, repentance, and so forth, rather than like Mercersburg was. It's centered along union with Christ,
Participatory.
Yeah, that you are part of the people of God, that your participation in that is your Christian life, that you are participating in salvation. It wouldn't deny any of the things, any of the Ordo Salutis or any of that at all.
But the point is that those things are derivative. They're not the point. Yeah.
Yes, they're not the foundation or their fundament of it. It's that you're united to Christ. That's where your salvation is. That's where your justification is in union to Jesus, which is a much more broadly reformed view.
Yeah.
And so, like, the interplay of that with, like, modern rationalism and expressive individualism and so forth is fascinating to me, because it's like, I think they're like part and parcel, right?
Totally.
So anyway,
totally.
All of this is to say that, like, there's so much going on in like real Reformed theology more broadly than, like, what you've been told for the last 30 or 40 years is like that. No, the only Reformed thing is this very narrow band of theology. Everything else is heresy. Or not even just like it's incorrect or this is not Reformed. It's heresy. Like Philip Schaff and the Mercersburg school, they were heretics, right? Not just like, oh, we disagree with them, like we think the influence should be here. No, they're in hell because they're false teachers. It's like, it's absurd, and extremely histrionic, and it's interesting that the fights over Reformed theology over the last 30 or 40 years, right? It's funny. They kind of took the place of the cultural battles that should have been going on. Right. Our culture was completely destroyed. And, like, the conservative Protestant denominations. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because you stole it from my bookshelf.
Yeah, I did. That's right.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I stole that Brad Littlejohn book from CJ's bookshelf, and that was that. But yeah, it's tattling on me here, man. But anyway, it's like those fights that happened, you know, in the early 2000s or even before then, like, they loved to, I mean, all sorts of digital ink, gallons of it, oceans of it were spilt, you know, calling people heretics and fighting over, like, very minor theological points. Meanwhile, like, look at what has happened to our culture, because, like, no one is going to, like, harm you or boycott your church or send you death threats if you are saying, I think that Peter Leithart is a heretic, right? Nobody's going to do that. But if you say homosexuality is an abomination and God will judge a nation that, it is a judgment on a nation that accepts it. It is God's judgment on a nation, right? You start preaching that, like just reading Romans 1, like verbatim, people will hate you and attack you. And so it was a replacement for, like, showing actual courage.
Yeah.
Right. And you could see that in the fights in, like, the PCA today, right? Like, Like, what are they? Where? How do they circle the wagons and fight? They fight somebody like Michael Foster, who's pointing out, like, you functionally have women pastors all over your denomination, and you need to fix this, and they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
They're mad at him.
They would rather like accuse people of being like racist for believing in the Ordo Amoris, or that, you know,
Yeah, or like not
nation
believing
should exist,
in their formula of justification. Or
Oh yeah,
like that.
yeah, like exactly, yeah. So anyway, Jordan is and was awesome, and this paper on Romans 11 was like pivotal for me to really put a lot of things together and make sense of a lot of things.
So it's current news now, so
it absolutely is. So so according to almost all biblical expositors, Romans 11 predicts a future conversion to Christianity by the Jews as a nation. Premillennial expositors see this event as occurring during the tribulations they believe will come just before our Lord's return. Amillennial expositors hold the same view. Is that correct?
Yeah,
I think that's more or less
it's accurate.
amillennial, yeah. Postmillennialists see the conversion of the Jews as the event that inaugurates the latter-day glory. There are a few who hold out against this interpretation of Romans 11. Some go with the opinion that the phrase "all Israel will be saved" in verse 26 refers to the church, the new Israel of God. In general, this view holds, and that's a view that like O. Palmer Robertson had that view. N.T. Wright has that view of Romans 11, 26. And I at one point I kind of did too, but I never could really hold it firmly, and for the same reasons that Jim explains here in just a second. All right. In general, this view holds that since the history of the Old Testament of Old Testament Israel is fulfilled by the transformation of Israel into the church, this is what verse 26 is referring to. This interpretation has relatively few advocates, however, since throughout Romans 9 through 11, Israel means the Jews. It is unlikely that Paul changes his meaning in Romans 11:26. Others hold that the conversion of Israel as described in Romans 11 is not an event, but simply points to the fact that throughout the history of the new covenant, Jews will be converting all along the way. And in this way, the sum total of all Israel will be saved. Now, the problem with this view is that throughout the passage, events are what is being discussed. It is unlikely that Paul suddenly shifts to a generality in Romans 11:26. Thus, the future conversion of Israel interpretation continues to hold sway.
Do you want me to read Romans 11:26 or anything like that?
No. I mean, maybe later on. Maybe later on we can.
We don't need to read the Bible.
Yeah, we know. we will. We will. About 3 years ago, so this would have been 1988 when I was 2 years old. I began to question this interpretation. It seems to me very odd that this is the only place in the New Testament where a future conversion of the Jews is predicted. Almost every book in the New Testament speaks of the destruction of Jerusalem. Many speak of the Gospels going out to all the world and transforming it. Many also speak of our Lord's final advent at the end of the present age. But nowhere else is anything said about a future conversion of the Jews. It occurred to me that perhaps Romans 11 predicts an event that was future to Paul, but not future to us. To wit, that Romans 11 predicts a conversion of many Jews to Christ just before the destruction of Israel in AD 70. The more I thought about it, the more sense this interpretation made. As I shared my thoughts with several theologian friends, do you have any theologian friends?
I do.
I've got a few, but it's just funny to see it.
If I told them that they were my theologian friends, they would be really angry.
They disown you.
Yes.
I know. As I shared my thoughts with several theologian friends, I found that others had begun to think along the same lines. I was encouraged to write up my thoughts and publish them in this newsletter. I have been reluctant to do so, however, because so many other friends have strongly propounded the futurist view of Romans 11. Finally, however, I have been persuaded to share my thoughts with a wider audience. Of course, for years I have taught the futurist view of Romans 11. arguing that the Jews and all the nations of the world, though not every individual, will be converted to Christ, and this event will usher in a period of prosperity, not perfection, to Christendom. This is the Puritan interpretation, and I have been an advocate of it for years. Now I no longer think it is correct. I ask my fellow Puritans to grant me the space to set out my thoughts and to consider these things with me. I believe that a postmillennial or optimistic view of the future course of Christian history is taught or assumed in many passages of the Bible. I used the entire second half of my book, Through New Eyes. Have you read that, by the way? Have you read it? Okay, good. Okay, if you're not, you need to leave and go read it. Leave and go read it. To argue that an expansive view of the kingdom of God is woven into the warp and woof of biblical revelation. The parables of the leaven and of the mustard seed are enough to show that Christianity is destined to grow and grow. And such biblical predictions as that all the nations will come to Zion to receive the truth, and that the knowledge of God will cover the earth as the waters cover the sea, establish in my mind that there will be a long period of gospel prosperity before the Lord's final return. All nations will convert eventually, and this includes the Jews. What I now question is whether the Bible predicts a time when suddenly all nations will turn to Christ, an event capped off by the conversion of the Jews. All I see in the Bible is general progress over time. It may be that the Christianization of the world will proceed along the same lines as it has the past 2 millennia, gradually building towards the latter-day glory. On the other hand, there may be a crisis that ushers in the golden age, but if there is, I don't think that Romans 11 has anything to do with it. I hope that I've set my postmillennial and Puritan brethren's minds to rest by these comments. All right. So do you have any comments thus far in this?
Not really. I mean,
no.
People know my own views, but we'll get to the meat of it now.
Okay. Why don't you read? I've been talking too much.
Preterism. Before going any further, I need to explain for any new readers that I am committed to the preterist approach to the interpretation of prophecy. The preterist school holds that most of the predictions of the New Testament concern the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. Anything spoken of as, quote, near or at hand was fulfilled in the first century, as was anything connected with special signs. Matthew 24 through 25 make it clear to me that there are no special signs of the final advent. The master returns without warning after a, quote, long time.
Okay, let's pause right there. All right, so most of the people probably are familiar with, partial preterism, what the view that he's describing here. And yeah, I mean, I think it was probably in college that I first, encountered this and began to be intrigued by it. And it like all started to make sense of a lot of stuff where it's like, I don't really know, that seems weird. Or like you read the New Testament, you'd hear these things and it maybe be explained to you as like, that's about the end times, right? That's end time stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, but it seems like awfully specific.
It is end time stuff.
It is end time stuff, but which
end times? Yes.
Yeah.
What was ending?
That's what is the thing that is ending? Yeah, exactly. That and I never ever at any point, like growing up and left behind evangelicalism, never once like read the New Testament and heard like Matthew 24 or whatever that, this generation or these things are near or I am coming soon. Like all of
not
these,
a single one of you will die before seeing this. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this generation will pass away before these things are fulfilled. I'd read that and they'd be like, well, if you like really squint and look real hard and like you could actually, if you turn this way, like,
well, the argument was always Jesus had us in mind.
Yeah. We're that generation.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's some gymnastics, like, no, it's like hilarious to me. The people that are like, we read everything literally. We read it all literally.
Well, the phrase that my pastor in California, he's a good guy, by the way, but he would always say like, what was the original intent of the author? Like he'd always say that because he's a literalist.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you now, like Matthew did not have us in mind.
Yeah, he wasn't thinking about Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin and remaking the Soviet Union and like all the kind of stuff you'd hear like growing up. Like, no, that's not what it's about. It's about the first century. Yeah, it's about things that were about to happen to them, and And so anyway, like when I first heard someone make that argument, I was like, oh,
You know who I
first
heard this
that
from?
makes sense. Who?
I first heard this from Hank Hanegraaff.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't he like Eastern Orthodox?
Now he is. But
Yeah.
back then he was writing on Revelation, and he was like the first of the major influencers to take a preterist view.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did some lore I didn't know.
I know some lore, about me.
Yeah. So that is, it is. All right. So continue on.
In particular, the preterists maintain that the book of Revelation was written around 65 AD, and that it is mostly concerned with the destruction of Jerusalem. My own lectures through Revelation are available from Biblical Horizons. A thorough study of the dating of Revelation is available in Ken Gentry's blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Well, and I mean, on that point, no, we have to read it in full. That's the disclaimer on the.
Well, he's got like the address in there.
Oh, you don't need to read the address, but and it's not even probably active anymore. But like that's always like the big cope on Revelation is like, no, it was written in 90 AD, and because there's this thing from Irenaeus where he was talking to John, and it's this really obscure passage where it's like, no, he was on the island of Patmos in AD 90, or whatever, but it's like
the biblical version of the Danbury Baptist letter.
Yeah, but and it's but at the same time,
that's funny.
That is funny. Good one, CJ. But like, the way it's phrased in like the genitive case of Greek in that passage of Irenaeus is like it could go either way. That he was talking to this guy and then he was later on Patmos, or that he was on Patmos and then talked to this. Like you and there's no context to tell you which is which, so it's like not conclusive either way in terms of like dating Revelation.
Yeah.
But people will stand on that. It's like, see, it's definitely 90 AD. And it's like, well, then like there's lots of questions that are left unanswered.
Yeah.
Right. Partly like one of them, and my biggest like reason for like holding to preterism besides like all of the things saying near and soon and quickly is Jerusalem being destroyed is a massive event. Just in terms of like biblical theology, right? Massive event. And like, why didn't the New Testament, if it's written, any of it's written after 70 AD, make reference? Like liberals think like the whole New Testament is written after 70 AD because they read these statements and like they're obviously about the temple being destroyed because they wrote it afterward because they never knew that was going to happen. It's like, no, actually they did. Like God told them, Holy Spirit told them, and it did happen because God did it, because it's Bible's true. All right. So it's funny, like the only people that are like, no way, it's about that. It's like everybody else, even people that don't believe the Bible, can see that it's about that. But like if you're so committed to a particular eschatology, that was always like I can always tell if like there's special pleading, right? If you're making these really strained arguments that don't exactly make sense, like I don't buy it, right? I'm not going to buy like strained arguments just so your system works and it still fits. It's like, no, I would just want to read the Bible in its own terms and come to the conclusions the Bible takes you. I don't want to like try to shoehorn my theology into the Bible, right? I've never been that way. And that's probably why I really like Jordan, is because he doesn't do that either. It's like, well, this really causes some problems for this theological position.
The Bible mandates that we have liberal democracy.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa, really? Okay. Anyway, continue on. I keep interrupting, but that's the point.
Okay. Preterism takes note of the fact that the temple and Jerusalem are related typologically to the church. In Revelation 2-3, Jesus promises to visit and inspect his churches from time to time. Each church is said to be in a city. Jesus threatens to eliminate churches that have apostatized and to judge their cities. Then Revelation 4-19 show what Jesus is talking about by describing the destruction of the church, the temple, in the city of Jerusalem. Moreover, the coming of Christ to pass judgment on the old covenant and the old creation in AD 70 is typologically related to his future coming to judge the new creation at the end of time. Thus, the view that most New Testament prophecy has been fulfilled in AD 70 does not make it irrelevant for us today. Do you want to show that? Do you want to elaborate on that analogy between the judging of the old creation and then the future judging of the new creation?
Well, yeah, there's three things being compared in parallel there. So first is the churches and their respective cities that Jesus inspects and threatens to judge. Then, right, that's the pattern. And then he demonstrates this in the rest of Revelation, judging, inspecting and then judging the temple and Jerusalem. But then, right, the same pattern is used at the very end, where he judges the new creation.
So my joke before about the end times, it really was the end times because the old creation was being liquidated.
Yeah, it was ending. Yeah. The old creation is ending. The new creation has come in, but that also is something that he will evaluate and judge at the end.
Right.
That's what like Matthew 25.
So we're in the new creation.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
There is a school of thought that goes by the name consistent preterist. Advocates of this hold that every prophesied event in the Bible was fulfilled in AD 70, and that the Bible does not teach any final advent of Jesus Christ. These consistent preterists deny the resurrection of the physical body and hold that this present world will continue forever and that there will be no such last judgment as the church has taught. That's heresy, as he's going to say. This view was proposed by a few exegetes in the last century, most prominently by J. Stuart Russell, whose book The Parousia has been reprinted by Baker Book House. The most noted advocate of this viewpoint is the Church of Christ theologian Max King. The Church of Christ is a largely preterist denomination, and some of their theologians have done good work in the area of interpreting prophecy. That's interesting because that's predominant around here.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't make that connection. Most are very unhappy with King's extreme position, and within the Church of Christ circles, there's a growing body of literature arguing against consistent preterism. I have dealt with the consistent preterist viewpoint in my lectures on the AD 70 question. And my lectures on Matthew 24 can be consulted for my thinking on that chapter. I mentioned King because his recent book, The Cross and the Parousia of Christ, contains within it a helpful exposition of Romans 9 through 11. King's theology is badly confused, and I cannot give a good recommendation to his book, but his discussion of Romans 9 through 11 I have found to be of some help. Since King believes every New Testament prophecy was fulfilled in the events around 70 AD, he naturally sees Romans 11 as fulfilled then as well. On this latter point, I think he is correct, though my interpretation of Romans 11 differs significantly from his. So we're not full preterists.
No. Yeah, that's always, anytime you use the P word, people are like, what? You deny the resurrection of the dead? It's like, no, I don't. You always have to make that distinction, unfortunately. So this section, and I think this is these next two sections is what
it gets to the meat.
Is the meat of it, and really what we want to cover today. Yep. So this next section is, who were the Jews?
Who were the Jews?
Yeah, it's interesting. Were is very important. So most Christians think of the Jews as a race of people descended from Abraham. In this section of this essay, I want to call this assumption into question by looking at the history of Israel in the Old Testament. When God called Abraham and made him a priest to the Gentile nations, he commanded him to use the sign of circumcision to mark out the Hebrews from the other nations. Abraham's household at this time included at least 318 fighting men, Genesis 14:14, as well as their wives and children, possibly many more servants. Like, I would argue that if you have 318 fighting men and they're professional soldiers, you would need probably 5 servants, keeping sheep and generating wealth, food, all of that to support a household. You think of the economy of that. You need some wealth generation to be able to support. If I was a billionaire, all right, wouldn't that be great?
It's a lot of Boniface.
Yeah, they need to, you need to buy a lot of books. But if I was a billionaire and I had 318 Navy SEALs and Green Berets, mercenaries, working for me, that means each of them would cost, what would they cost me? Like $200K a year, right? So So like you've got to be able to produce that much wealth just to pay those guys, keep them employed, plus like generate enough food and wealth for everybody else to support them.
Yeah.
Right. So his household probably numbered in the thousands.
Yeah.
Is a safe assumption. Right. So right, when you read the sign, Abraham taking the sign of circumcision, having his son Ishmael circumcised, and then his entire household, it's like thousands of men that are taking on this sign. So all of these men, Jordan says, all of these men were circumcised. We see these servants mentioned in the book of Genesis several times. Genesis 26, Genesis 32. And when Jacob went down to sojourn in Egypt, so many people went with him that he had to be given the whole land of Goshen to dwell in. Right. That's another point. Right. And we just covered that Sunday in church, that they're given the land of Goshen. There's 70 blood descendants, including Jacob, that go down to Egypt. But they take this entire principality or this entire region of Egypt for themselves, which means thousands and thousands of people, a massive household. Genesis 46 provides a list of only 70 actual blood descendants of Abraham who went into Egypt. Thus, from the very beginning, the Israelites were defined by covenant, not by blood and race. The same was true of each of the tribes within Israel. A Levite was not necessarily a blood descendant of Levi, but more likely was a descendant of one of the patriarch's servants who was part of Levi's company. Only a small percentage of Levites would actually have been descendants of Levi. These several thousand people became over 2 million by the time of the Exodus 215 years later, right? Which, I mean, it's only that's always the thing when people are questioning the chronology and things like that. It's like, well, how does 70 people become millions of people? It's like, well, it was 70 plus like thousands, and then any Egyptians that joined them, right? So it's actually like very easy for that to happen. Right. Only a small percentage of the people who came out of Egypt had any racial connection with Abraham. Moreover, added to the company of Israel at this time was a vast mixed multitude, many of whom had become circumcised members of the nation and therefore members of individual tribes as well. There was another admixture of converts in the time of David and Solomon. Think of Uriah the Hittite, for example. Then again, the book of Esther tells us that during and after the exile, many more Gentiles became Jews. Esther 8:17. What this means is that very few Jews at the time of Christ had any of Abraham's blood in them. They were a nation formed by covenant, not a race formed by blood. To be sure, Jesus himself was a true blood descendant of Abraham, and his genealogy is important for theological reasons, but few other Jews could trace their genealogy to Abraham. What I see to establish by survey is this. With the passing away of the old covenant, there is no longer any such thing as a Jew in the biblical sense, unless by true Jews we mean Christians. I'll read that sentence again. What I seek to establish by this survey is this. With the passing away of the old covenant, there is no longer any such thing as a Jew in the biblical sense, unless by true Jews we mean Christians. There is no covenant, and therefore there is no nation, no race. That covenant's gone. Therefore, the people that make up that covenant are no more.
It was not a people by race alone.
That's right.
It was a covenant. It was an economy of people.
Yeah.
And since that doesn't exist anymore, therefore.
So like the blood doesn't actually matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the covenant that matters. And the covenant is no more.
Yeah.
Right. So what then are modern Jews? Modern Jews are people who choose to think of themselves as descendants of Israel. Most modern Jews are not Semites, but are descended from Eastern European tribes that converted to Judaism in the Middle Ages. Right? That's a very controversial point.
It is.
And I don't even know when he wrote this, if he knew how
I think it was controversial.
Even in the 80s and 90s?
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah. Yes. In fact, actually, while the media has a bigger spotlight on us today, this was probably more controversial back then.
Yeah, you think so? Yeah, maybe.
I mean, he was more of a minority position.
Yeah.
I think a huge number of online Christians who have been educated post internet are okay with
or have become aware of that argument. And I still don't know. I mean, because it's always like that's debunked. That's not true. And I honestly don't know what to think of it. Right? Do you have any opinion on?
I don't have an opinion on it either way. I actually do lean this way, and I have this book, by the way, by Arthur Koestler.
Yeah, the one I'll read. Arthur Koestler's 13th Tribe provides much information about this.
I do have that. If you ever want
that was like Solzhenitsyn's position, wasn't it? Is that
I don't know.
Yeah, it was like the Khazar theory and things like that.
Oh, he believed that?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
In because I think he wrote about it in like 200 years together.
2000, 200
years together. Yeah, but I don't know.
Do you read Russian?
I don't read Russian. I've had to rely on
schizo
translators. Yeah, but it's interesting that book is not. Do you read banned books?
I do read banned books.
Yeah,
yes.
It's not translated in English. Why isn't it
banned books like 1984?
Everything Jordan Peterson loves Solzhenitsyn. So does Roger Ebert, and like why aren't they banging the table to get all of his works published?
They cannot get the rights. I know a lot of people have tried. They can't get it.
Why?
The family won't let it. Won't release
Interesting. I wonder why. Someone else can answer that for us. Right. So, but nonetheless, like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not a geneticist. I can't.
It doesn't matter either way for this argument.
Yeah, exactly. For his argument here, it doesn't matter because he gets into it. Like, so even if Jordan is incorrect in saying that they are not Semites whatsoever, they're actually Europeans.
Yeah. The point remains that there's no biblical Jew anymore.
Right, because he says modern Jews do not worship the God of the Old Testament. Right. This is also something that probably is like nails on the chalkboard to people steeped in dispensationalism. Right. Modern Jews do not worship the God of the Old Testament. They are either secular humanists or else Talmudists. And the Talmud has no more relation to the Old Testament than does the Quran or the Book of Mormon. Like the Quran and the Book of Mormon, the Talmud and Mishnah are designed to add to and to reinterpret the Old Testament in such a way as to obliterate completely the revelation of God through Jesus Christ. Compare Luke 24:27. The God, uses quotes, of Judaism is as much a fiction as the God of Islam and the God of Mormonism. It is entirely possible that there is not one drop of Abraham's blood in any modern Jew. Of the tiny percentage of Israel that had any of Abraham's blood in the first century, it is possible that all such either became Christians or were slain in the Jewish War of 80-70. And like 80, it isn't just like 80-70, it's 80-70 to 135. With Bar Kokhba. Like it's that like 65-year period that like nobody knows much about, but we should. No one can know, back to Jordan, no one can know for sure about something like this, and it does not matter in the slightest.
Yeah. So
that's the point. Yeah, right. Doesn't really matter.
They could have relation. They
could all be 100%, blood descendants of Abraham, and it wouldn't matter. So modern Jews are a separate nation of people with a self-identity, spread out among many other nations. The closest analogy to them are the Gypsies. The only difference between modern Jews and Gypsies is that modern Jews claim to have a relation to the biblical Jews, a claim I maintain is false. As an analogy may help. Mormons think of themselves as Christians and call themselves Christians, but they are not Christians. They are counterfeit Christians. Just so modern Jews think of themselves as Jews, but they're not Jews. They're counterfeits of biblical Jews. I say this not to disparage them, but to be accurate. In fact, I shall argue later in this paper that this business of treating Jews as special is directly related to the persecution the Jews have so frequently experienced. All right. So, and that point, I mean, I think it's good that it's very good that he says, I'm not saying this to disparage anybody, right? Because I mean, even like, I know there's probably like Mormon guys that listen to us, and like, I'm not saying that what Jordan says or repeating him to disparage them either.
Yeah.
Right. But like,
we're making a theological argument.
Yeah. Like Protestant Christianity does not consider Mormonism as Christianity, right? It considers it a heresy and counterfeit Christianity, even though it says that it is. And so in the same way, right, the synagogue and the rabbis doing their thing, like that's not biblical religion, Old Testament religion.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what's going on there at all. It's a fake recreation of that after the advent of Jesus. Right? The whole Old Testament is saying Jesus is coming, Messiah is coming, here he comes, be ready for him. He comes. And they say no. And so they create a new religion that redacts any possible reference to him, right? And they have to, because he's already come. He's been revealed. The Son of God's been revealed. And so they have to, the covenant's destroyed, it's gone. So they have to make something completely new. And most modern Christians today look at it and think, oh, those are just like, that's just like Abraham and Moses and David, you know, doing their thing. Isn't that cool? And it's like, well, no, that you as a Christian are the inheritors of Moses and Abraham and David, not them. They have no relation to that whatsoever, biblically speaking.
Yep.
Right. That's the point. That's the point that Jordan is making. That's the point the New Testament makes. And yet it's extremely controversial. Extremely controversial. But should it be? No. All right. Transformations. You read that.
We should have done an ad right as we said no. That would be perfect.
Yeah, that's the perfect time to do it. Yeah, I've got the computer. Why don't we take a break before we get into let's segue so people stay, log out. The next section gets into the rationale for why he says this, right? It gets into what happened with the old covenant over time, right? How it transformed over time, and how there's different covenant names that God gave his people. And so it expounds on this even more. So we're going to run an ad. I mean, CJ said that probably because he needs to use the bathroom. But we're going to run an ad. And as soon as I find it, and you guys stay tuned, we'll be right back.
This is Dave. Dave is dead. When he wasn't, he was a successful businessman with a rather large estate. This is Ben. As Dave's son, Ben has just inherited a logistical nightmare. Dave wasn't exactly organized with his estate. Sorting through folders, receipts, and records, a hunting lodge in Montana, a 401k, lots of investments, several bank accounts, and of course, taxes. Ben was overwhelmed. Enter Joe Garcia, Backwards Planning Financial. When Ben called Joe and explained everything, Joe replied,
"No problem. That's easy."
And somehow it was. With Joe's guidance, Ben was able to put a robust financial plan in place which helped mitigate risk and bring order to the chaos, while building wealth, organizing his estate, easing the tax burdens, and cutting unnecessary costs. He helped Ben do something Dave never did: plan ahead. Starting at the end and working backwards, Ben now has a plan for his own family. Now his kids won't go through what he did when he eventually... Backwards Planning Financial. Start planning for your death before you're gone.
All right, we're back. We're back. So transformations, read that, CJ.
Transformations. Let us return to history for another slant on this matter. When God called Israel out of Egypt, most of the people refused to follow him and died in the wilderness. The old Hebrew people ceased to exist.
Get that right.
Yeah, exactly. The old Hebrew people ceased to exist and were transformed into Israel, their new name. I have discussed this succession of names in my book Through New Eyes. The Israel that entered into the Promised Land was a new people made up of a mixture of Hebrews and converted Gentiles, the mixed multitude. Any comment on that? Good.
No, let's keep
Their
going
leaders
before.
were Joshua, a converted Hebrew, and Caleb, a converted Gentile Kenizzite. By conversion, I mean that they entered the Mosaic covenant. According to Numbers 13:6,
From
Caleb's
the Abrahamic.
family, from the Abrahamic,
Yeah.
According to Numbers 13:6, Caleb's family had not only been adopted into the tribe of Judah, but had risen to prominence in it. This event is directly analogous to the New Testament situation. The wilderness wanderings lasted 40 years, as did the span between AD 30 and 70. The Jews were called by Jesus and the apostles, and many converted. That is, they entered the new covenant. Some reverted to Judaism, turning into apostate Judaizers. And like the apostates in Moses' day, they, quote, died in the wilderness by AD 70. Meanwhile, many mixed multitudes Gentiles joined the kingdom. By AD 70, it was time to enter the promised land, and the old Jewish people ceased to exist, being transformed into Christians, their new name. So this great transformation from Hebrew to Israel to Jews to Christians.
Yeah, so this and when he
fascinating.
talks about the names, right? So you start out, Abraham is called, he's a Hebrew, that's the name for his people, and that God makes a covenant with them. And but there also are people not blood related to him that are part of this. And then by Sinai, you have this mixed multitude that come in. So you have blood descendants of Abraham that are part of the covenant. You have non-blood descendants of Abraham that are part of the covenant. Then you have the mixed multitudes, these people that come with them out of Egypt into the wilderness. And at Sinai, right, being a Hebrew, like the Hebrew people cease to exist. There aren't Hebrews anymore, right? There's only Israelites, right? And now both of those groups are brought into one people and made into Israelites. Then over the course of that period of time.
So it's like replacement theology. Israel replaced the Hebrew people?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Israel replaced the Hebrews.
Yes.
And so then, like all throughout Israel's history, right, they go into exile and they come out, and all of these Gentiles join them and get circumcised, begin following the law, become part of the priestly people. And they too are given, and he's going to get to this, but they too are given a new name, right? No longer like Israel, so-called, doesn't exist. Now it's Jews.
Replacement theology again.
Right.
Jews replace
so
Israel.
Jews replace Israel. Then you get to the first century. Jesus comes, and
this is the final replacement now.
And the new covenant comes, and you have the Jews who follow him and listen to him and follow the apostles, and then the Gentiles that hear the gospel and believe.
Yeah.
And they become a new people called Christians. And
that's the final.
And the old covenant is destroyed in AD 70 with the temple and Jerusalem. That's gone. It's ended forever. And now all you have left are Christians and non-Christians. That's all that exists.
And there's no new replacement.
There's
coming.
no Jew or Gentile. There's only Christians, non-Christians. Right? That's the covenant. That's the pattern of the covenant.
The old covenant is completely gone.
Yeah, gone
and
forever.
It's all new.
Yeah, there's no like the priesthood, the temple, sacrifice, all of it completely eradicated.
Yep.
Right. In AD 70. It's still going between AD 30 and AD 70.
There's a 40-year.
There's that 40-year period, just like the time in the wilderness. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So keep reading. It gets into the exile and the same process.
Okay. Yeah. The same kind of event happened at the exile. A study of the book of Ezekiel will show that God called his people out of Judea into the wilderness of exile, where he tabernacled with them. The people were given a choice: either move forward with God or perish by looking backward to the old ways. During the time of exile, as we have seen, many Gentiles were converted into the nation. By the time the exile was over and the people returned to the promised land, the old Israel ceased to exist, being transformed into Jews, their new name. Let us return to the Mosaic transition and examine the phenomenon of falling away. At Mount Sinai, all the people accepted the new Mosaic covenant. Before too long, however, a large group of people were objecting to one of the most distinctive features of the Mosaic covenant. During patriarchal times, any man might offer sacrifice at an altar to God, but the worship of the tabernacle was closer to God and therefore holier and more dangerous. It is dangerous for a sinner to get too close to the consuming fire, and so the only people allowed to approach the new Mosaic altar were the priests, who were specifically ordained and anointed for this purpose. God forbade all sacrifice except that conducted at the tabernacle, which meant that the Hebrew people were no longer permitted to build and sacrifice at altars. As it became clear that the people had lost this right, those who did not perceive that the Mosaic covenant was in fact more glorious than the Abrahamic covenant had been rebelled. Their argument was that all the people are holy and all are priests, Ezekiel 19:6, and that Moses and Aaron were exalting themselves over the congregation, Numbers 16 through 17. They were drawing the wrong inferences from Exodus 19:6 because they were clinging to the older covenant. This group of rebels is closely paralleled by the Judaizers of the New Testament era. The Judaizers were people who became Christians. The Judaizers were people who became Christians and then realized
finish
that,
finish that thought, man.
then realized that the leaders of the Christian community were changing the rules on them. Just as Korah, Dathan, and Abiram did not want to give up the old Hebrew ways in order to become Israelites, so the Judaizers did not want to give up the old Jewish ways and to become Christians.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, like this is the thing. Like this is the kind of stuff that like Jordan has recovered. You see the
Yes, I did.
We're gonna have to talk about that.
By the way, allegedly, Gary said he's coming back soon.
Yes, when we get to the new studio next week,
he's too good for this one.
He doesn't like. There's not any room for him in this one.
No.
So like this is the thing that like outside of like typology, you don't make those kind of connections.
Yeah,
right. You don't see the connection between
the typology is everything.
Yeah.
That's what the Through New Eyes book is about.
Yeah, and it's like if you're reading the Bible like it's an engineering textbook. Right. Oh, let's do some word study and we'll do some. Let's look. What does the grammar say? And it's like that stuff's important. Like you do need to understand what the grammar says. Right. You have to understand the language for sure, but you also need to understand allusions and symbolism and what beyond just the basic level of grammar and studying it like it's like the Bible itself is a textbook. Or a dictionary or a reference book. Like it's not. It's not presenting itself to be read that way, right? It's presenting itself to be read as a divine book that is here full of meaning.
Well, it's a meta narrative.
Yes,
so it refers back to itself.
Yes,
that's the point.
Yeah. So, here I'll pick up some of the reading here. So just as Korah and company accused Moses and Aaron of inventing their own religion, so the Judaizers accused Paul. Just as many of the Israelites in Moses' day wanted to return to Egypt, so the Judaizers wanted to return to Judaism. Right? I don't like when even Jordan calls that Judaism because it confuses people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not actually like Judaism. It's just like too old covenant religion. That's what he means. This is the falling away in which the New Testament refers a number of times.
To which,
like again and again and again. Don't fall away. What particular thing are they worried about? People returning to the old covenant. People demanding that Gentile believers get circumcised. Right? People who are rejecting the transition to the new covenant. Right? That's what falling away is.
Mm-hmm.
In that context. All right. So Korah and his followers were killed, and the rebels of Moses' day died during the 40 years in the wilderness. So like all of them are wiped out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, the earth swallows them up. But then also all the people that rebelled, that refused to go into the land, they have to all die in the wilderness before Israel can enter the land. Right. That's interesting because right. The parallel to the apostolic era.
Right.
It's right. Oh, Korah, Dathan, and Abiram are all killed. And that generation all dies out before you enter the promised land. Well, what happens in AD 70?
We'll find out.
That generation is killed and destroyed.
Okay.
Spoiler. Their beliefs, however, continued to find expression in Israel. From the time of the conquest under Joshua to the exile under Nebuchadnezzar, there were many people who insisted on worshiping God on high places. They insisted that they, and not those who served the tabernacle and temple, were the true Hebrews. They insisted that they were the true sons of Abraham and that the promised land belonged to them. They worshiped God, they claimed, in the same way Abraham and the patriarchs did. At altars they made themselves. With sacrifices they offered themselves. They claimed they were preserving the old ways, but the prophets said that they were idolaters and had become corrupted with paganism. How true was the claim of the high placers? It was not true at all.
This is really like, I don't think a lot of people appreciate this part.
No.
Like what he's describing is that the entire new economy for
Yeah.
them, the Israelite one,
Whoa.
was a repudiation of the Hebrew one.
Yeah.
And so no longer could you set up your own altar and do your own sacrifices. You had to go through the priests.
Yes. Yes. That transition is massive.
That's a transition. That's
Yeah.
not the same thing.
Yeah.
That's a revolution.
It's a totally new world.
Covenantal revolution
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
crazy.
Um,
And it anticipates the coming of the new, which replaces it all.
That's right. Exactly. It typologically points forward to it. The true sons of Abraham were those who accepted the Mosaic covenant. The true owners of the promised land were those who moved into the new covenant at Mount Sinai and who had set aside patriarchal worship for something better. At the exile, God removed the high placers permanently from his land and gave it to those who would be loyal to the temple worship.
This plays into our discussions in Bible study in Romans 1.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
what
gosh.
Paul is talking about when he mentions the law is the specific covenant that was in existence then, which is the Israelite one. Or sorry, the Jewish one.
That's right.
And that's what was specific on their minds. Go ahead.
Exactly. So the same is true in the new covenant, like you're saying. The Judaizers and those Jews who would not accept Jesus were killed at the end of the 40-year wilderness period from 30 to 70 AD. Their beliefs, however, continue to find expression among the Jews who survived. The Ebionites carried on the heresies of the Judaizers, and the Talmudic Jews carried on the heresies of the Pharisees. They insist that they and not the Christians are the true Jews. They insist that they are the true sons of Abraham and that the promised land belongs to them. They worship God, they claim, in the same way the Jews of Jesus' day did, through Passover and synagogue. They claim that they preserve the old ways, but the New Testament and the Christian religions say that they are idolaters who have been corrupted with paganism. How true is the claim of the post-New Covenant Judaism? It is not true at all. The true sons of Abraham and of the biblical Jews are those who accept the new covenant. The true owners of the promised land are those who moved into the new covenant with Jesus, who set aside Passover and synagogue for something better. At the Holocaust, AD 70, God removed the Jews from his land and gave legal title to it to those who would be loyal to him. Notice, this is a really interesting point. Notice that modern Jews occupy the land of Palestine only because the Christian West supplies them with money, arms, technology, and legal treaties. The promised land belongs to the sons of Abraham, Christians, and the only reason modern Jews are there today is because Christians let them be. Thoughts on that, Mr. Engel?
Provocative.
Is it true? Yeah, evaluate that statement. Is it true or false?
I think it's true. Fact check, true. I mean,
Yeah, they're there because the
the-
West
the
says
point-
they can be.
the point is that
Period.
there's no inherent covenantal
No,
right that the Jews get to the land over there. That's the point.
no, exactly. Who does it belong to? It belongs to the people of God,
People of God.
Christians, right? That's who it belongs to, not to people that claim to be descendants of Abraham.
Yeah.
Right. That's the point that he's making.
Mhm.
And that should radically transform how you view foreign policy.
And it says in 80-70, God removed the Jews from his land and he gave the legal title
Yeah.
to his new people,
Yes. Yeah.
to his actual people.
Is actually not new people.
The actual people. Yeah.
Like, because that's one of the main points in like Romans is that like the Jews that remain that went with Jesus, went with the apostles, those are the faithful ones.
Mhm.
Right. The rest are not. They're the branches that are cut out of the tree. Right. And eventually fire comes to burn them up.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Where are we? Yeah, the upshot of our survey of Israel's history is this: the Hebrews ceased to exist when they were transformed into Israelites. So, point number one: Hebrews ceased to exist when they're transformed to Israelites. The Israelites ceased to exist when they're transformed into Jews, and the Jews ceased to exist when they were transformed into Christians. The continuing existence of people calling themselves Jews and claiming to represent the old order does not change these facts. Jew is an English contraction of Judahite, which is the name given to God's priestly nation after the exile. calling yourself a Jew does not make you one. And in the biblical sense of the term Jew, there were no longer any Jews after AD 70, unless by true Jews, we mean Christians. What about the land?
I think it's really important.
No,
Like this
pause
is
there.
this is really cool because when you look at the earlier transitions, Hebrew to Israel, Israel to Jew, it really sets up what we're saying about the church. It's not
Yeah.
this anti-Jewish thing. It's
No.
like there's been several replacements.
Yeah.
And this is just the last and final.
Throughout the
And
history of the covenant.
This is
Yeah.
the best and final transition.
Yeah, it's like, oh, supersessionism. And it's like, yeah, that's what Korah, Dathan, and Byram were arguing.
Yes.
Right. Moses, you're a replacement theologian.
Exactly.
You know, like
Yes.
you're replacing the old ways with something new.
Yeah.
You know,
You're a Hebrew hater.
yeah, you hate the Hebrews. It's like, no, actually. Right. So what about the land?
This is such
What-
a good conversation.
What about the land?
This might be our best one yet.
best one yet. We say that every week.
But this one, I'm serious.
You
This one,
really-
I said it, not just
yeah,
you.
not just me. What about the land? Well, consider this. Suppose in Moses' day, the bloodline Hebrews, right, the ones descended from Abraham, literally, right, blood descent from Abraham, the bloodline Hebrews had gone to the circumcised descendants of Abraham's servants and said this: the land was promised to us, not you. We have legal title to it. You don't. Or suppose they had said this to the converts among the mixed multitude. It is clear that they would have been wrong to say this. All Israelites were the same as far as their inheritance was concerned, right? So the land, they conquer the land, and it's divided up among all the people for their inheritance. And the blood descendants of Abraham could be like, no, this is just for us. God made that promise, right? Right. This land is for you and your descendants. It's only for us. That's the promise God made, not you guys. But that's not what happened, right? All the people of the covenant were given land,
Mhm.
all of them, except for the Levites, because their situation was different. They're given even higher honor than everyone else. Right. So similarly, Christian Jews have no special claim to the land of Palestine. Right. This is a common thing that's often said. Well, okay. Well, yeah. All right. I'm with you so far, but the Jews who converted,
Mhm.
they get to have the land.
Mhm.
Right. So like the Messianic Jews, right, they can own Tel Aviv and the West Bank and all, like they get to have that. And it's like, whoa, not so fast. All right. Similarly, Christian Jews have no special claim to the land of Palestine. And I'm sure it drives people nuts that he uses the
The land of Palestine.
Roman name for it.
Yeah.
Right. But nevertheless, there's only one kind of Christian, and all Christians are in Christ. And all Christians have exactly the same rights. The idea that there are two kinds of Christians is a satanic heresy, one that Paul anathematizes in the book of Galatians. In my opinion, the notion that Jews, after they convert, will have a claim on the land of Palestine smacks of just this heresy. Yeah, he's right. Now, what have I written above? What I've written above is the logic of biblical theology, and it is basically what the New Testament teaches everywhere except possibly Romans 11. The futurist interpretation of Romans 11 will counter what I've written above by saying, true, when Israel came into being, the Hebrews ceased to exist, and when the Jews came into being, Israel ceased to exist, as you have put it. But Romans 11 reveals a mystery, which is that this time the old people continue to exist as an apostate nation, which will someday convert to Christ. Thus, you are wrong, Jim, when you say that modern Jews are no different from any other people. They are indeed special. I answer. Obviously, I need to expound Romans 11 and argue my case. But before doing so, let me say that the mystery of Romans 11:25 needs to be understood in the light of everything else the New Testament says about the gospel mystery. Ephesians 3 makes it clear that the mystery is that in Christ, there is no longer any distinction, as there was in the old covenant, between priestly Israelite and non-priestly God-fearing Gentile. That is the whole point of the mystery. Thus, the meaning of the mystery runs against any notion of a continuing distinction between Jew and Gentile. According to the mystery, the only distinction any longer is between Christian and unbeliever. the futurist interpretation of Romans 11 tends to contradict the meaning of this mystery. There's another point that emerges from this historical survey. Paul's whole argument in Romans 11 is that the entrance of the Gentiles into the kingdom will provoke the Jews to jealousy. That was possible in the first century. It is not possible now. The reason it is not possible now is that Christians do not have what modern Jews want. The minds of modern Jews are set by their traditions, not by the Old Testament. In order for them to be jealous, they would have to perceive that Christians have the kingdom they expect to inherit. This was true of first century Jews, but it is not true of modern Jews. Talmudic Jews are looking for a completely different kind of kingdom. In short, right? Well, first, say something about that, right? Like, and this is a point like I make often is in the apostolic age when Paul would go to preach and plant churches. Where would he go? First place he'd go?
Jerusalem.
No, I mean like he starts out in Jerusalem, but like he goes to Damascus, or he goes to Caesarea Philippi, or he goes to Ephesus, right? Where does he gets to Ephesus? Where does he go first?
He goes to the Jewish lands.
To the synagogue.
Oh, okay.
Goes to the synagogue, preaches in the synagogue. People believe it. Some of the people in the synagogue believe it. Sorry, yeah. Some of the people believe in Jesus there. Most of them don't, and eventually they get angry and they kick him out. And all the Christian Jews kick them out. And what does he do? He preaches to the Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then what happens to the Gentiles? Well, Holy Spirit comes and they start doing the same stuff that the apostles are doing. The apostles are doing the same stuff as Jesus. They're healing people. They're speaking like the apostles in tongues. They're casting out demons, all these signs and wonders. And what did the Jews see? Right. Whoa. The kingdom that we've been promised, these like filthy, dirty dog Gentiles, they got it, and we don't.
So they were provoked to jealousy.
They get jealous.
Yeah.
Today, if I do that, right? If I went to, I'm gonna go preach in Nashville, right? One, they probably wouldn't let me in the synagogue talk about Jesus there. But even if they're really kind and gracious and let me go there and preach throughout the Old Testament talking about Jesus, and I persuaded a handful of people, right? They wouldn't be envious of the church. They wouldn't be envious of Christianity or jealous of Christianity. They wouldn't be jealous of it at all, because that's not what they're looking for,
right?
At all.
That's crazy. Yeah.
They don't even like observant Jews today, right? Like somebody like Ben Shapiro, for example. Like he doesn't look at the church. He doesn't look at the Christian church today and Christians and think they've got it. They've got the kingdom of God. They've got the thing that we are longing for.
Interesting point.
No, they think these guys are deluded, right? They're worshiping a criminal that
he literally
executed
said
by the Romans.
Yeah.
I'm not like attacking him. Like he verbatim said that, and it's like he has no jealousy of the church whatsoever, right? It's like only in that specific period was that happening.
Interesting,
right? So that plays a role in Romans 11, I think, a lot. Right. So in short, Romans 11 makes sense if it applies to the first century. It does not make much sense if we apply it to Jews since that time. The valid application of Romans 11 today is to liberal Christians. A point I shall return to later in this study.
Fascinating.
Do you want to read the this next section?
Yeah.
And that's probably all the time we got for today.
The problem of, quote, anti-Semitism.
Right. So even in this section, right, he presents like a Girardian theory of anti-Semitism. Right.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
And it's interesting, right? But
let's be honest about it as we go.
Yeah, I don't find it like fully satisfying as an explanation for all these things. But I do think his point that if you say that these are the special holy people chosen by God and they're distinct from you, does that play a role in it?
We want to no, we'll read it anyways.
Yeah, we should read it. I think does it. I think he is right though. Like it contribute in some ways.
Well,
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it actually may in a lot of ways. Like some of these people, they insist that they are specially granted special rights and privileges by God. And biblically they're it's not true. And so they're kind of creating the conditions, like that's
like that dynamic creates the conditions for people to like lash out at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that's what he's expounding. And it's like, if that didn't exist, we just said they're normal people like anybody else.
Right.
They're a normal, they're a group.
Which is what our position is. They're just a normal people like anyone else. And they're welcome to convert to Christianity and all that.
Well, of course. But like they're a group that has group identity and group self-interest, right? And that drives conflict, right? Just in general. I mean, if you just replace them as a group with Somalis or something, right? Like that's a big problem right now in Minnesota. Is all the fraud.
That's what happened this week, actually.
That is the big thing.
We don't have time to.
But it's like that's a group that has a high a high degree of group self-identity. Like they know we're part of this group. We're gonna back up our people. But we don't treat them like, oh, the Somal. I mean, other than like mega libs do, but like they're the special people. They're chosen by God, so we have to walk on eggshells around them. Right? No, that doesn't happen. But like even in any kind of ethnic thing, there's conflict. There's envy, animosity, fights that take place because like when groups their self-interests differ, right? There's going to be conflict. But it's exacerbated, I think, by the thing that he's saying. That's like we're the holy people chosen by God. Yeah. You're not. And then you agree with them, and it only amplifies the conflicts and fights that happen.
How will God treat a people that try to claim that about themselves?
That falsely claim that they're the chosen people?
Because the chosen people is actually the church.
Yeah, as Stephen Wolf often points out.
So how does God treat a people that do that set themselves up in that position, that would try to replace the bride?
I would think he wouldn't look very kindly on it.
I agree.
So anyway,
before turning to Romans 11 and its meaning in the context of New Testament prophecy.
By the way, he uses the word of power in here. I don't want us to get kicked off of YouTube, so don't read it.
Okay.
The word of power.
I want to set down my thoughts on the problem of anti-Semitism. First, very few modern Jews are Semites, and very few Semites are Jews. So the term anti-Semitism is a very misleading term. In English, anti-Semite means anti-modern Jew, and so I shall use it that way. I am indebted to the work of René Girard for the discussion that follows. Girard is a liberal Christian who has done some marvelous studies in the phenomenon of the scapegoat in religion and culture. I do not by any means agree with him at every point, but his book, The Scapegoat, has provided me with the insights that follow. By the way, I like that book too.
No, Girard's great. Yeah, and I would offer like the same caveats that he does. Yeah.
When times get tough in a society, people seek for someone to blame. They might blame themselves and say God is punishing us for our own sins, but since people are wicked, they don't say that. Instead, they look for someone to blame, saying everything was fine until these people came along. They are different, and therefore they are criminals, and therefore they are to blame for the distresses and catastrophes. In times of distress, people turn against outsiders and strangers. In Romania today, gypsies are being treated this way. Throughout history, both Jews and gypsies have often been made the scapegoats for society's problems. This is because they are different. They have their own laws and customs. They don't mingle with other people well. They seem obnoxious because their customs are strange. People suspect them of bizarre practices like incest, stealing babies, poisoning wells, and the like. People want to feel superior to other people. I grew up in the Old South, and the attitude of white trash people was this: if we are not better than N-word, we are not better than anybody. The reason for the Jim Crow laws was to make white trash.
Glad you didn't Ron Burgundy that one.
No. I can do two things at once. The reason for the Jim Crow laws was to make white trash people feel better than blacks. Well, he gets to call us white trash. Many educated Christian white. I don't quite agree with. I think he's over exaggerating this whole point
for effect. Yeah.
Because sometimes outsiders do cause problems, and you said that, and you see that in the Somali problem in Minnesota,
or like
because liberals will accuse you
of being bad,
of offloading your frustrations
scapegoating
onto the Somalians.
It's like, oh, you're a loser, and so we just deported all the Somalians,
But
You would-
sometimes there are problems.
You would be better, like you're complaining because you're a loser.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like Romania, like gypsies are a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it isn't just like, oh, they're weird and different and we want to be nice people. It's like, no, like they do lots of crime.
The funny thing about this, actually, if we could critique James Jordan for a minute, is where he says above, they have their own laws and customs and they don't mingle very well. Well, the funny thing is, Jim Jordan is someone who more or less would be on board with a Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
And so when you have a set of laws and customs that undermine the Christian metaphysic,
Yeah.
Jim Jordan would be okay with a political force pushing back against that.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it is appropriate if someone doesn't assimilate into Christianity, into the Christian law of nations, that they should be responded to politically. That doesn't mean we go kill them or something, but
No.
it does mean that you can use politics to engage.
Yeah.
And so we don't, what he's suggesting here is actually like the promise of liberalism, where any group can come in and have their own laws and we're a pluralistic society, but he's not saying that.
No, I don't think he is. Like, I mean, I think, if he were still active today, like he would look at like the Somali situation in Minnesota and be like, well, that's a problem, right? Like
Yeah.
that's
The
a problem
better,
with liberalism.
the better
right?
analogy is Islamic cities in Texas or something.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, well, no, it's not good.
So I think he
But-
exaggerates this point
Oh,
a
yeah,
little
he
bit.
is.
I don't know. Like, so we'll just keep going through the section, but
Yeah,
I don't
keep-
really endorse it.
Yeah.
But there's more. Gerard shows that envy plays a large
Oh, you didn't
part.
finish. He said many educated white people were unsympathetic to these laws, but such good people were in the minority.
Democracy lets trash rule because democracy allows demagogues to appeal to the mob.
That's
True.
Fact check true on that.
This phenomenon also plays a part in the continuing persecution of gypsies and Jews.
I mean, I think to a certain degree, that's partly true, right? And even like the scapegoat thing is like partly true,
Mhm.
right? So it's even if it's like, okay, yeah, the gypsies, do crimes like petty crime and all sorts of
Well, the
stuff.
thing about a
throughout Europe.
scapegoat is
But-
it can be true, just exaggerated. right?
Exactly. It's like it's true, but when you turn them into the cause of all of society's problems, right? That's when the scapegoat mechanism is activated,
Mhm.
right? Not just like, okay, they're true, they're a problem.
Mhm.
Like if we thought all of America's problems are due to Somalis stealing from
Right,
taxpayers,
correct.
right? If we just got rid of that, then every young man would have a job and a beautiful wife and a bunch of children and a nice home, right? Well, no, that's not it. But you could see how things could go down in such a way where things just unravel and poof,
Mhm.
right? Because it's easy for people to like look for that, right? That's why, like, I mean, and this is what like liberals, like leftoids, libtards, right? They try to use this with like mass deportations, right? Where it's
Right.
like, oh, you're just making the illegals your scapegoat. You're making the foreigners your scapegoat. And it's like, no, actually, like I want mass deportations so that doesn't happen,
Mhm.
right? Because if things completely implode and unravel and you have like mobs with pitchforks looking for someone to blame, I don't want them going to house. I don't want them killing these people.
Mhm.
Right? That's what happens when the scapegoat, right, gets unlocked. Is now we could deal with the problem. It's not pleasant. It's not fun to do deportations. It's not, happy rainbows and sunshine kind of thing, but it's like necessary.
Yeah.
Right. To prevent that from happening.
In other words, the scapegoat theory is correct. You need to deal with the problem before it blows up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so continue on in this.
But there is more. Gerard shows that envy plays a large part in scapegoating. This is where the envy thing comes in with your famous clip.
what if it's not though? Yeah.
Those who are rich are admired and imitated by society, but when they fail, everyone rushes in to gloat.
That is also true.
True.
People love doing that.
Job experienced this, and you need only read the newspaper to see how rich and famous people are treated when they fail.
When they fall, is
Yeah,
it?
when they fall. Misprint. Historically, the Jews have been a disciplined and provident people. I think that's true.
Mhm.
Which means they often had wealth, which means they have been the object of envy, though usually not of admiration.
Right. I mean, even the thing there, is like that's partially true. Right? It
I think
is.
they are hardworking.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
and very, very intelligent.
very diligent, at least.
Yeah. But yeah.
Now let us
continue on.
bring in the catastrophe. The mob wants someone to blame. They blame the strangers, the Jews. They blame those that want to feel superior to. They blame those they want to feel superior to, the Jews. They blame those they envy, the Jews. When times got tough in Germany after World War I, the mob found it easy to go after Jews, Gypsies, Poles, Catholics, and godly evangelicals, all the people who were, quote, different. Now, this is bad enough, but now enters another factor. Unlike Gypsies, the Jews claim to be the continuing racial expression of God's chosen people. This kind of claim is naturally offensive to other people. It only makes matters worse when the church adds her voice to this claim. So I would de-escalate some of his in the first paragraph there, but I think that's actually a good point. When you're claiming that the whole world owes you this land and Americans are obligated by the Bible to support you in all your activities, that's going to create a massive blowback. What's happening
right now?
Blowback.
Yeah.
Cultural blowback.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's very correct.
It's 100% correct. Like all of the people that are like Owen Strachan, destroy Hamas. We have an obligation to support the state of Israel. It's like, and then like when people are like, not only do I think we don't, but I think like these people are really bad. And then they freak out and they want to blame
when that happens.
They want to blame this group for every single one of society's problems. Like you've added gasoline to that fire.
Yeah.
Right. Rather than like just saying, like maturely saying, like, yeah, like American support for the state of Israel is not good. And that like American Jews are like the way they vote are 90% of them support abortion, transgenderism, homosexuality, like every like cultural bad thing. They're like the antithesis of the lone bulwark. And if we want to, look at it that way. And so like when people like have their eyes open to that, then what happens? The Girardian scapegoat thing, right? Where it's like, oh, see, this is the problem to everything. It's this group of people. And it's like, well, and this is the thing like 2 years ago when I did the thing with Doug, I'm like, no, I don't think that. I think like if that group just had never existed, right? If they had ceased to exist in the first century, right? Would we have a problem with like leftism and the destruction of our country and all this kind of stuff? I think yes. Yeah, I think so. Right. If like they all moved to Israel right now and we decided we're not going to give another penny to Israel, we're not going to defend them with our military, all of that, and just left them over there, right? Would we still have all of these problems in our country? Yes, absolutely. Right. And I think it's like incontrovertible that we absolutely would. Right. But once the scapegoat gets unleashed, then it's like, these people are the problem. This is the only problem that we have. These are the bad people. Every single thing that could possibly ever go wrong in my life is them. Right. That then the masses of people begin believing that. Right. And what has happened? The church has just dumped gasoline on that fire by saying, yeah, they're God's holy chosen people and we have to support them.
Yeah.
Rather than just saying, well, no, this is a group that actually like opposes the gospel and we should want to tolerate and protect other groups, right? But we oppose what they think is good, and we're not going to be shamed for opposing them.
Yeah,
right. We're not going to be shamed for opposing the Hebrew Immigration Aid Society, right? You can't just call me an anti-Semite because it's like I think what you're doing is wrong, or all of the like Jewish people that are on the boards of Planned Parenthood and GLAAD and all the like the pro-gay and pro thing, like you know, like I don't have to be afraid to be called an anti-Semite to say like I understand like your theology, your worldview, like your identity to your people. The reason why you support these things is like you're opposed to Jesus and the gospel, right? And you don't call me an anti-Semite because that's just a reality. Like you brag about it, like you brag about how like these things wouldn't have happened without you. Like the Jerusalem Post and Harrods brags about this all the time. But it's like, no, you could just be reasonable, rational, mature, and just say, yeah, like there's lots of groups that oppose Jesus. There's lots of groups that hate the gospel. And I don't have to like want them destroyed or persecuted or anything like that. I could just say, no, I think you're wrong. And that's that.
Mhm.
And let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
Right. Like the church could have been doing that,
But it hasn't.
but it hasn't. And that's why we are where we are today. Right. We haven't had like just stable, mature, godly men leading that are not afraid of being called the slurs
Mhm.
over this. Right. That's what's happened. And so to the degree, like in terms of what he's saying here, right, like he's right. Like we've not only have we not prevented the problem, like we've contributed to
Mhm.
like you see the fear,
Well, exactly.
furor
So
that
it's-
people have over Israel and over the Jews and all that. It's like, yeah, we helped cause that,
Mhm.
and we shouldn't have.
That's an indictment on the church.
Yeah.
I think so.
All right.
In
So
short,
continue on.
in
Yeah.
short, I am arguing that by giving modern Jews a privileged place in history and prophecy, the church has reinforced rather than undermined the foundation of anti-Semitism and persecution. True. If the church had strongly maintained that the claim of the Jews was mythical and that Jews were no different from any other exceptional group in society, the persecutions against the Jews might have been milder. The Jews would not have been treated like gypsies. They would still have been persecuted, but perhaps not as severely. Of course, the only real and lasting solution to the problem of persecution is for the church to do her work of remaking people into kind and charitable human beings. But,
That's
but until we have a Christian world, there will be persecutions. I believe that the futurist view of Romans 11, whether espoused by premillennialists or postmillennialists, distorts society's understanding of the Jews and sets them up for persecution when times get tough. I think that's generally true.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
Right. I think that we've played a role in that, and it's unfortunate. But I think the other point too is like all of the various like ethnic conflicts and fights that are endemic to mankind. Like they're not solved by liberalism. They're not solved by multiculturalism. Right. They aren't.
No.
Right. And like there's a way that people can read that where he's like, well, the problem of persecution is for the church to do her work of remaking people into kind and charitable human beings.
Just be nice.
I mean, you could read that in a way where it's like, just be nice, good liberals, egalitarians, multiculturalists. And I don't think that's what he's saying.
No.
Like he's saying where it's, no, you remake nations into Christian peoples where, yeah, there's going to be fights between various nations and groups and things like that. But it's not like, it can't devolve into
truthless,
like bloodletting. It can't devolve into like race war between groups. Right. It's you have to be kind and charitable and gracious. Right. That is what the gospel does to a people collectively. Right. Not just like individuals, but collectively as a people. Right. It makes you into a people that, right, you'll defend yourself, you'll defend your nation, but you won't then seek to exterminate the other.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what the gospel does. Right. Man in his sin, right, says, all right, I'm part of my group, I'm part of my people, and anybody that messes with us, we're going to eradicate them, right? Because we're the true humanity that deserves to rule the world. Like that's every group, like non-Christian one thinks that. And no, it's instead, right, God wants your nation in his kingdom, and he wants all the nations in his kingdom, right? So you don't have permission to eradicate other peoples, right? You don't have permission to persecute them. You don't have permission to enslave them and destroy them, right? That's the point that he's making. And so in terms of like this, right, it's like, well, that group of people, right, our goal, right, instead of saying these are the special holy people, should just simply be, all right, we're not going to like kowtow to them and act like they're the holy chosen people and we have to just do whatever they say and remake our entire society to accommodate them. Not that. And also it's not, all right, these people are bad, so we need to wipe them out. It's not that. It's we need to be kind and generous to them, to be respectful and tolerate them, but also seek to convert them, right? We want them to have Jesus. We want them to have life. We want good things for them. Right. That's what we should do. Right. That's how you prevent the scapegoat mechanism from from taking place, right? Is doing just that, is like seeking their good. I mean, that's Gerard's like main point, is that Jesus is the antithesis of the scapegoat mechanism, right? That he takes on the role of the scapegoat to end it, like voluntarily takes it on. Right? That's the thing that like caused Gerard, after a life of being an atheist, to become a Christian. So anyway, any other thoughts on that one?
No, I don't think so on that. But I think next time we'll pick up with the theology.
Well, yeah, we're halfway through. This was all like preparatory remarks. Yeah.
But the transition discussion, I think, was just fascinating, and I don't think a lot of people appreciate that.
No,
I
exactly
certainly
not
didn't until I read this essay.
No, it exactly. And you need to like have that in the back of your head as you're going through, Romans 9 through 11.
Yeah.
It has to be there somewhere, because if you don't have that understanding, then the rest of it's not going to make sense. The rest of it's just going to be
individualized.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, hopefully that was good.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
I think people are loving it.
All right. I hope
people are rushing to buy your new book.
I hope they do. I mean, yeah, like we espoused like the radical idea that what's going on there? Oh, we disappeared. Like we espoused the radical idea that like Christians shouldn't engage in persecution and violence against other groups, right? It's a pretty radical idea.
Yeah.
But we did. So people will probably hate us for that, I guess. Or hate us for like saying that dyspyism and even Puritan postmillennialism like contributes to persecution of Jews. But I think Jordan is at least partially right on that point. So, let us know what you think. Let us know what your comments are. But yeah, you got anything else besides buy book? Go to.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. It's funny because I'm the one that. Did you read this after I mentioned it this week?
Well, is
that why you wanted to talk about it?
I read this like 20 years ago.
No, I know, but did you like reread it or something?
Yeah, I did. I was like, I need to read that again. It's been a while.
That's good.
And I read it again because I was like, it's in the news. It's a topic in the news, and like I keep having like anytime you talk about it, like you'll have these people. Well, Romans 11 says that they're the chosen holy people.
To be fair, that is the common.
Oh yeah, it is, but it's like it's the majority view. It's very common, but I don't think it's correct, no. and it's the cause of like a lot of our theological and like political problems today. And to like Jordan's point at the end,
main point, the blowback
is like it's producing massive blowback against people. Like there are, this might shock you, but there's like a whole bunch of Jewish people, like observant Jewish guys that I know and love, and like I don't want people hating them.
No.
I don't want them being blamed for like because they're just like normal people, right? They're just regular people. Although they're funnier than you and me. They've got, the high verbal IQ, man, makes them really good at telling jokes. But like that's something God has given them. But like for real though, like they're like normal, regular people. I don't want them like blamed for everything that happens in society. But to the degree that we keep pushing this like myth that these are the holy people and we have that like Ted Cruz on Tucker earlier this year, like, well,
the Bible says, I don't know where, but I don't really know where, but it's the basis of my entire theology, but I don't really know where in the Bible. I just know that it's there.
And the basis of my entire politics.
Yeah. That the only reason I ran for the U.S. Senate was to be, the representative of Israel.
Who was that guy last week who said that I was proud to represent you? He was in Israel. He's like, I've been proud to represent you over the last couple of years. Did you see that?
U.S. congressman?
Yeah. Yeah. He was in Israel. And he's like, I'm very happy to have.
Dude, that's like no different than Ilhan Omar standing in front of a crowd of Somalis.
Exactly. Like that's the America First observation. It's the same thing.
Yeah. It's like, I am here to defend Somalia and send money to Somalia. And it's like,
Then you see like Randy Fine or whatever standing in Tel Aviv,
Mhm.
and it's like, I'm here for you. And it's like, I don't want either of those things. I just want like people in Congress
Mhm.
that care about us and our issues, not foreign countries.
Right.
Right. Or Pramila JPAL or whatever, PayPal. Like I don't care about India. Right. One way or the other. Like they're their own country. They can do their own thing. I care about my country.
Yeah.
Right. I don't care about those places. Right. I don't care about Israel or Gaza or the whole conflict. It's not my concern. It's not my business. Right. And like that's the thing. Like Mike Pence, when he had that very short run for president, and he ended when he's talking to Tucker, and Tucker's like, what about, like we got all these problems in America and all these things. It's like, well, that's not my concern. Right? It's like America's not your concern, right? But that's how they think. That's how they all are, right? They're bought.
That was a Freudian slip for sure.
Oh, it totally was. And like it was accidental and everything.
That's why it was funny.
And that's why it's hilarious. Yeah. But
out of the heart,
I literally, I do not care about Israel at all, one way or the other. Like whatever they want to do.
I care in as much as they're sucking our resources.
No, that's what I mean.
And lobbying our government.
But in terms of like as a country or people or anything like that, it is none of my business, one way or the other. Right? What they do to Gaza, what Gaza does to them,
as Jim says,
not my concern.
As Jim says, they're just like any other country.
Yeah.
So I weigh them the same.
Yeah, like I value them as much as I do like Singapore, right? Like, that's basically, it's like I don't wake up in the morning and think, man, I hate Singapore, or man, I love Singapore, right? And it's like I want Americans to have that perspective, right? Not like wake up every day thinking, man, what are the Israelis up to today, right? I don't want any Americans like thinking that. Or the flip side, what can I do to bless the Israeli government? Right? Like, I don't want either of those things.
Send more missiles.
Missiles. God says send missiles. Yeah. And so like it's and like that whole thing is falling apart. And especially among younger people, like the vitriol like you see online is like really real.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's not just like people on the left; it is people on the right, and I think it's like universal among young people. And I don't think that's actually a good thing. I don't like it.
No,
I don't like people being like angry and furious. But
you
I
have to
understand
know
why they are.
You have to know why it's happening.
Exactly.
That's what Tucker is saying.
Yeah. Why is this? They're blindsided by it. Like, how could this possibly be happening? It's like, well, I know why. I know exactly why. Right? Like why? Because we've been told our entire lives, God says you have to.
And that's where he's wrong, is like, it's not just envy.
No.
Like, because the Israeli government knows that the false doctrine of dispensationalism is very useful to them.
Yes.
And we should be honest about that.
Yeah. Oh, it totally is. Right. Like
the revival of covenant theology is really bad for Israelis' material interests.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're the ones funding it all.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not, and it's like, I didn't get into it. I didn't get into like covenantal reformed theology because it's like, man, I really want to stick it to the Israelis. It's like, no, I just want to know the Bible and what it says. Right. But because I think it's true. And I think dispensationalism is false, but yeah, like it's bad. And you'll be attacked as like an anti-Semite, even though like throughout this whole like thing, I'm like, I don't like harbor any ill will toward this group of people at all. Right. I understand. And like, I understand why they pursue like the political and cultural things that they do. Like, it makes sense.
They're acting in their own self-interest.
Yeah. I understand why, like, I mean, cause this is the thing, like people online, like, do you know that 90% of American Jews are pro-abortion and 91% pro-abortion? Did you know that? And it's like, yeah, I totally know that. And I get why, right? Or why they're pro-gay and all this. Like they want a secularist country, right? They want a country that's not constrained by Christian social mores. Right? They don't want that. They don't feel safe in a place like that, right? They feel much safer in this multicultural secularist environment where there isn't one religion that dominates everything, where there isn't one ethnic right? When ethnos that dominates everything, right? Then they're much safer as a people, right? So you can see why I'm not like justifying it or defending it, but like you could at least understand, right? And this is why like Daryl, I think is really good. Is like his whole shtick is like, can you just develop a theory of mind for the other?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Can you develop some kind of theory of mind for the other? Like liberals cannot do this; they're incapable of doing this.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you talk to a liberal, and they'll assume that like my politics is like Bush era conservatism, because that's what they think. Like anyone that's conservative, like how could you like Trump? He's so bad. He's so immoral. It's like, yeah, that's like a selling point. Like he sees, yeah, he destroys the pieties of our fake political environment. Like, but you like, so, but I can like model mentally like everything like the average like lib believes, right? If you tell me like what you think about XYZ issue one time, I could tell you on 100 different issues more or less where you're at. They cannot do that for us at all. It's comical.
It's hilarious.
It's very funny. But like you need to be able to do that with like, okay, well, why do
that's not just true of leftists either. Like the critics of Christian nationalism,
they can't do
like
either.
99% of them can't even explain our positions.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's infuriating because like you can't even have any kind of dialogue with somebody that is
they hate the Constitution. Like one of the funniest things about Stephen's book actually is he has an entire chapter defending the American founding.
Yeah.
It's like
saying that like this was a Christian thing that was done. But
anyway,
at any rate, it's like you need to be able to like just look at like the other, right? This other group and think, okay, well, why does it make sense for them to have the politics they do? Why does it make sense for them to have the cultural views that they do?
Correct.
Because that prevents you from thinking like these people are monsters. These are the spawn of Satan. Like that's what you do with the other.
Well,
that's a Girardian thing.
Well, the funny thing is like people get mad at us for quoting Carl Schmitt. He was actually in his attempt to de-escalate things. His whole purpose of friend enemy was actually to de-escalate, because then you didn't have to dehumanize other people. You had to realize that they were acting in their own self-interest.
Yes.
And the things that they wanted were mutually exclusive with the things you wanted. And if you could understand that political dynamic, you can actually find peace.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, like you're forbidden from that. Like you're not allowed to talk about like just basic political polling statistics, all those kinds of things, where it's like this is where like American Jews are at, right? You're not allowed to talk about those things. Like you will be called an anti-Semite if you just state the fact that they're very left-wing predominantly. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that to like demonize them. I want to just talk about everything, like put all the cards on the table and understand like why did they think that?
Yeah.
Like, why did they pursue the, like, why did they think transgenderism is good? Right. Like you have to be able to understand, to think, and in order to have any kind of peace, because otherwise you're going to dehumanize them. Like you said, you're going to treat them like monsters that have to be eradicated and destroyed. And like, that is a, I'm going to do a Marvel quote, but it's like, you got the, Doctor Strange wigging out, thinking through the millions of different possible scenarios. Right. Like that's definitely one, is like this stuff spirals completely out of control. And people like begin like killing Jewish people, persecuting them, things like that. And it wouldn't be on the right that would happen. It would be the left. I think more than likely. Right. Doing Luigi type stuff for like Jewish people.
Yeah.
That might die down because the Gaza war is over, but I don't know. I think like the cat is out of the bag on that one. Is that the right analogy? Right? Pandora's box is open. Like I think you can't put all that stuff back in, right? The like rage and animosity and hatred and anger is like all there now. But it will continue to get worse and worse and worse, right? And even like the demonization of Tucker for having a conversation with Nick Fuentes. calling him a Nazi and calling him all these things is like, what's he doing? Like, he's seeking under, like, this guy's got 1 million followers. He's got a large following.
Well, he's trying to explain why. That's
why do these young people think this way?
right.
And it isn't even like I agree with every single thing that's being said. It's like, why is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
And why? He has the kind. They're like, he's a demon. He's a Nazi. Everyone needs, his own son needs to denounce him. And it's like,
is it his son or his brother?
His son and his brother have the same name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And what all that does is inflame it even more. It's like, wait, you're calling this guy, a Nazi? And just after, like 2 months ago, Charlie Kirk was killed because he was called a Nazi, right? So you're saying this is someone that deserves to be killed, right? Because he had Nick Fuentes on his show, and it's like, no, like, man, he's seeking to understand what is going on. Why are these things happening, right? Why do all these young people think this way? Because that's the only way you can keep it from spiraling out of control, is understanding it, understanding the reasons why, and ameliorating those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Not saying you're bad for thinking this, you're evil for thinking this, right? You're pouring water on a grease fire when you do that. And it's going to continue to keep happening, and it's unfortunate, right? But I don't know. I mean, I think liberalism is coming to its end. It just is. I mean, it already kind of is done.
Oh,
right?
liberalism's done.
Like like, what are our elections now?
It died in the 60s.
Yeah, like, what are our elections now? But like ethnic conflicts.
Yeah.
Right. People vote by
it's an ethnic roll call.
Yeah, that's exactly. Like, you don't have a modern liberal democracy when it's just, we're going to line up the people from our group and their associated groups that we're aligned with versus your groups.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that isn't like the democratic republic that the founders of America envisioned. Yeah. And so it's bad.
Well, I don't want to go over our hour, so we might want to round this up.
That's true. Yeah, it's a long one today, I know. But things are bad, but I think they could be better. And I think the church can be the vehicle for making things better by speaking the truth and speaking honestly about these things, about this issue first, and then all the other political issues. Right. And not saying this ethnic group is the holy people that we must submit to in all things and seek to bless. But just saying they're a group like anybody else, and we need to treat them like anybody else. Treat them with respect and dignity and kindness, which those words don't mean doing whatever they say. They mean, right, you pursue your interests and you don't destroy there.
This is one of those things where, by the way, like people have known us as sort of a political show, but what we're coming to realize is that theology has massive geopolitical implications.
Absolutely.
And it's not just a private thing. Theology is a very public thing, because if you can change the temperature in the church and make them realize that Jewish people are biblically no more, it has massive ramifications for the entire structure of geopolitics.
Well, that, and like, also, I mean, just even from the church perspective, you actually could begin to evangelize them in an effective way, right? Like the way we've gone about evangelizing them is like, you're the holy people. We have the Messiah you're looking for. It's like, they don't care about that at all. And instead, it's like, actually, your way of life, your whole theology, all the things that you think, like Tikkun Olam and all of those things that like you believe in, they're garbage, and we can show you why. Right? I mean, you like dealing with them on their own terms, like dealing with them as they are, rather than as we envision them to be, would actually be effective in rebutting their arguments and claims, and then you've taken away this mythology that these are the whole. It's like Sam when he first sees the elves on the way to on on the way to Rivendell.
Yeah.
Right. He sees elves for the first time. He's like, whoa.
So what you're saying is
Whoa.
what you're
It's like,
saying
no, there's
is
normal
by,
people.
is by denying the future conversion of the Jews, we could actually convert the Jews.
Yes. I think so. Yeah, I think
All
so.
right.
Yeah. I'm
No, I'm
Yeah,
just
I know,
I'm just
I know.
having fun.
no, you are, but like I think I'm for real.
Yeah,
I think that. Yeah. Because it's not working the way that we're doing it.
Yeah, it's true.
So
true.
and I think that the reason why it's not working is because we're denying the truth. Right? That's why.
Yep.
So
Good.
I want them to know Jesus. I want everybody to know Jesus, to love Jesus, to be part of his kingdom. Everybody. Every single person.
Good.
And
That was the prelude.
yeah, that's just the beginning of the paper. So Lord willing, next week, if
This was a good
the
discussion.
world doesn't
Enjoyed it.
end
Yeah.
before then, we'll be back Friday and next Friday. Are we going to record Monday?
Yeah. I won't be here next Friday because of Thanksgiving stuff. So
it
we
is.
should-
Oh yeah, it is Thanksgiving. I forgot about Thanksgiving.
We should do a Thanksgiving. What if we did a double whammy next week? We did a Monday, this, and then a Wednesday Thanksgiving
I was
show.
going to say Wednesday because I can't do it Thursday because I've got a turkey to make and football to watch. It's going to be a busy day.
All
So
right,
Wednesday.
Monday and Wednesday. then.
Monday and
Let's
Wednesday.
finish this
Let's
Monday
go.
because
All
I
right, that
have a
was loud.
Thanksgiving show I want to do on Wednesday.
All right, let's do Thanksgiving on Wednesday. Are we going to have turkey?
You can be the turkey.
I don't want to be the turkey. I want to eat the turkey.
On Thursday, you can eat the turkey.
All right. Sounds good, man. Well, hopefully you all had fun today. We had a blast as always, and we will be back Monday. So have a wonderful weekend. Stay peacefully, very peacefully dangerous. And we will see you next time.